Welcome to my show. With a guest here. Her name is Sheila Bélanger. Mrs. Sheila, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Sheila. Firstly, you are a coach transformational guide. Can you please, Mrs. Sheila, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Sheila?
Yes, thank you for asking. Well, I basically work with people to support them in their initiatory journeys. I'm a transformation coach, I'm an archetypal astrologer, and what I call a process oriented guide. And I really help visionary seekers and really sensitive change agents navigate their thresholds of transformation with courage and heart. And I draw from a lot of ancient wisdom lineages, from depth psychology, and from shamanic traditions. I like to help people navigate through their life changes as initiations for growth because it's very challenging when we change and the
Yeah.
world changes. And I am a coach. I also have digital courses. I have a weekly podcast, Astrology Alchemy podcast, where I talk about the current cycles happening in astrology and translate them to help people understand how to use those cycles for growth. I'm really about helping people know how to connect to their innate wisdom.
It is definitely not easy because I also agree with you, Mrs. Sheila. The world changes, and when it changes, how are we going to try our best to navigate it? How are we going to also try our best to make it a better one for us? Because change always damage a lot of things and also improve a lot of things as well. And as a
Yeah.
transformation coach, you add that quality to actually make people understand better, and also your background into meditation and healing. And also, I would like to drive if you've written any book, Mrs. Sheila. Have you written any book, or do you also plan to write any books in the coming future, Mrs. Sheila?
Thanks for asking, Timmy. I may, right now, I do a blog on my website. My website is ontheedgesofchange.com. And I've circled around doing a book for a while, and there's so many other projects that I get interested in. Yeah, I'll get to it, but I really appreciate you asking.
It's definitely not easy. At least when you are building the blog and the blog is gaining some sense of momentum, is actually a way to also make people to be inspired in one way or the other. And also, I would
Yeah.
like to dive to people who are seeking deeper meaning in their life. When one is on earth currently, for us to try our best to seek deeper meaning, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of things to consider. By the way, so many listeners or many people are really, really seeking deeper meaning in their life. How can I go
Yes.
about my life? How do you think? How can I go to the next level? If things change, how can I definitely work on it and also get the sense of transformation I need? How do you think they can begin to align their spiritual growth with their everyday action, Mrs. Sheila?
Yes, that's such an important question because we can do all kinds of spiritual practices like meditation and prayer.
Yeah.
And yet, to me, we do it for the betterment of the world, right? And so, our personal growth, our spiritual growth isn't just about us because we're part of the deep web of love and life. This is part of the ancient wisdom traditions. It doesn't matter what culture we come from or what race we are. All of our ancestors had earth-based shamanic backgrounds. It's in our blood. It's in our bones. And our ancient ancestors know we belong to the earth and we belong to one another. And in the deep trauma of current culture, which is so caught in a very wounded dominator, colonizing mindset, we've been severed from that connection to our own, not just our own divinity, but our own deep connection and belonging. So, back to your question, when someone is seeking deeper meaning, the first thing I invite them to do is get grounded, reconnect to that which you love, reconnect to the earth, and remember your belonging, not in an intellectual way, because that's often where we get into trouble. Our minds have been enculturated, all of us. There's no blame. And it's a separating, fear-based mindset. And so for everyday life, it can be as simple as take a moment to breathe in. What are you grateful for? Or maybe you start the morning by, if you can look outside or be outside and thank the tree or let the wind be on your face. It's everyday practice of coming home to yourself and coming home to the earth because you need that first. In seeking deeper meaning, you have to be home with yourself. And that's a lifelong journey, right, Tammy?
Very beautiful. To seek deeper meaning in our life really help us to get the sense of reflection towards our daily life. Because when we start to think about ourselves and give ourselves that sense of reflection and trying to sit down and work on ourselves on several issues within us, I think we'll find a way to seek deeper meaning in our life. We'll find a way through, and we'll definitely also know one or two reasons we are brought on earth. We definitely know one, two, or two things that we think we do love, and we are inspired to continue to build ourselves upon. If we can continue to do that, then we continue to build that to the point whereby I think we'll be strong enough to actually have the reason to be on earth and also give the sense of joy, because we are not, the world is really really pressured now, but we have that sense of joy that we definitely desire. And also you also speak about embodied transformation. Embodied transformation, what do you think it truly means to live your spiritual through the body rather than just understanding it in the mind? There are two
Yeah.
different things, body and mind. So how do you think we can understand the both of them, Mrs. Shelia?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Um, I am recovering from my own enculturation in Western culture. And in that experience, we're taught to sever our mind from the rest of our being, especially our heart and our body. And so, embodied spirituality to me is not just connected to my body, I'm connected to my other deeper ways of knowing, my wisdom that is underneath my culture mind. And sometimes I think of it as the strategic mind. It's always, or the lizard mind, always trying to figure out, am I okay? What's going on? We all have that challenge, and yet underneath it, there is the deep wisdom of our body, our gut knowing. You know, and sometimes just to spirit, whatever spiritual path you're on, sometimes to periodically just be in your body and say, what does my belly know? Breathing, breath is so important because it brings us present to our being, our body. But also, we have the wisdom of the heart and our emotions. And sometimes when we're on a spiritual journey, all of us have unmetabolized trauma. Our personal one, our ancestral, intergenerational trauma, our collective trauma. And so we can have a lot of emotions that really challenge us and stir us. And part of your wisdom is also your heart wisdom, that can you be truthful about the emotions you have, but not overwhelm yourself? And that's partly getting resources, right? But there's the emotional wisdom. And then there's what I call the imagination wisdom, your imagery, the ability to imagine, to dream, the creativity part of us. That's a huge wisdom resource that is also, it sounds funny, embodied, because when we open to imagination and dreaming, we are like expanding ourselves and we're getting out of the tight box of the cultural enculturated mindset. So to me, back to your question, an embodied transformation or embodied spiritual practice has the depth of my body knowing, my heart knowing, my imagination and dreaming, as well as a quieter mind. I call them the wisdom ways of knowing. And so the embodied practice is not just intellectual. It's almost like whatever you're studying or whatever path you're on spiritually, you might pause, what does my heart know about this? Or how does my body feel about this right now? So there's this, again, connecting to the web of your own self, of the other ways of knowing that help you to take whatever you're thinking about in your spiritual journey into your actual body and your everyday life.
And that is it. Giving ourselves the right and necessary question to give ourselves and also try our best to reflect on ourselves on those questions. Likewise, as you said, I love what you said, wisdom. The wisdom is needed. No matter how we want to navigate ourselves and also improve ourselves in regards to the point of embodied transformation, we have to also use ourselves while we can connect intellectually with the wisdom and how we can continue to give that sense, the question that we need, then understanding that gives us the sense whereby we start to understand the mind and the body as well. Then we know how to work with the both of them, know when the pressure comes in, know when to react, and also know when to control, and also know how to execute when things are actually getting more than hand when it gets to a time sometimes, because things might be tough at times. And also, I would like to drive to the point of genuine growth and spiritual bypassing. They are two different things because there is a point whereby when someone has gotten to a point, as you said, the wisdom, connecting to the intuition and connecting to the mindset, and they can recognize that I think I'm having a genuine growth with my body and my mind, or I'm just having a spiritual bypassing. So for someone on a healing journey, how do you think they can try their best to distinguish between spiritual bypassing and genuine growth, Mrs. Sheila?
Such an important question, Tammy. Um, well, first of all, to me, spiritual bypassing happens because of our own wounds and our own trauma. And we get frightened, and we get overwhelmed. And so we check out. There's lots of ways to do it. And one of the ways we do it was through our spiritual practice, right? We avoid the fear and the terror. And so there's no blaming here because sometimes people spiritually bypass because they have to. It's a survival strategy. And yet, on a deeper level, every kind of growth has challenges with it. And so when I'm in my spiritual practice, when I hit something that is frightening or difficult, I want to recognize that this is it's normal. It's initiation, right? I'm very much an initiation guide, and initiation is terrifying because you're no longer the old self you were. You don't know who you are, but you don't yet know who you're becoming. When we have initiation, we are ending an old identity, an old way of life, and we're going to something new, but we don't know what it is yet. And so that liminal place, that transformational place of change can terrify us. And we can say, "Ah, I don't know what to do. I check out." And yet we could carry the awareness. I'm in an initiation journey. I'm going to meet places that scare me, that I'm going to meet places that bring a wounded part of myself up. So rather than say, I need to run away, it's like, oh, what resources do I have inside? What resources can I get externally that would help me to be with the truth of what's happening, right? To stay with myself, stay with what's happening. Now that's much easier said than done. I think like most of your maybe listeners know. And yet what resources strengthen your wholeness where you can bear the challenge of initiation and change and recognize the impulse to bypass is a part of you that needs love and support. And whether you can do that yourself or you need, external allies like a therapist or a healer or a counselor, and to recognize the impulse to bypass is a call for help and love for a part of yourself.
I really, really love what you said. Honestly speaking, to be honest with you, Mrs. Sheila, connection really, really matters. And when we start to recognize the difference, and as you said, awareness is one of the main parts that can really help us with that, to distinguish between a genuine growth and also a spiritual bypassing, then we are in a very, very high position to actually face a lot of triumphs because the triumphs will be there. And when we understand these triumphs and the healing process that is within us, then we can try our best to see what genuine growth is and also spiritual bypassing is. And I also love the sense of meditation and mindfulness that you also drive into, which I also like to drive to, because listeners would like to also know how they can use things like that when they are also
Yeah.
trying to connect with their body and their mind, because we have to know how to work with the both of them. So when it comes to meditation, mindfulness, or even breath work, they are very, very powerful tool. That, as you said, because they have to look for the tools they can use to actually help themselves to grow. So, how do you think listeners can use these spiritual tools? Like, I'm just naming some few of many, like mindfulness, meditation, or breath work, to actually reconnect with their intuition and also the sense of wholeness, Mrs. Sheila.
Yeah, wonderful question. Thank you, Tammy. What I find with mindfulness, all that you said, breath work, meditation, it brings us into the present moment. And that's so important because that's where our gifts of transformation and power are. Because often when we're struggling with wounded parts of ourselves, patterns of trauma with self or intergenerational, we're caught in the past. We're caught in that rondo of what happened, what happened, what happened. And sometimes when we're in pain and suffering, we're trying to get out of it. So we futurize, we go to the future. Okay, this needs to happen, or when it's like this. And so we're never here, right? We're never here with ourselves because we're either in the past or we're in the future. And that makes sense when we're in pain. And yet, when we have a meditation practice, a breathwork practice, mindfulness practice, we're cultivating the ability to be right here with ourselves in the present moment. And then we can be recognizing, oh, whatever pain happened in the past, I don't ignore it, but I'm not there anymore, right? Oh, something might be coming in the future, but I'm not there. I'm here right now. I'm here with my body, my heart, my mind, my wisdom, my life circumstances. And meditation, breath work, and mindfulness are essential tools and blessings to say, let me be with myself as I am right now. And from here, I can make empowered decision. If I'm caught in the past or I'm caught in the future, I'm not here. So we ain't going nowhere, right?
Very beautiful. To be honest with you, Mrs. Sheila, what you said is what a lot of people are lacking currently. I hear a lot of people, I don't want what happened to me in the past. I had this issue or that issue. Or I'm looking at some people even project 10 years. This is not a business. We are humans. We have flesh, we have body, and we're connected with the mind and the soul. If it's something like an institution, we can be saying we are projecting something, but it is our body, it is our mind, and it's very much connected with nature. So the nature is also the one thing that has the final say, how we want to move on, how we have to improve the life. And that is why staying in the present is the best strategy for us. No matter how difficult it is in the present, or no matter how inspiring it is with us with the present, if we can try our best to stay in the present, do not think about the past and do not think about the future. We look at every single thing that we have around us and we use it to progress. If we can do that successfully, I think we would better understand how we can use our sense of wholeness and also the sense of intuition, how we can also work on the meditation and how it could also work better for us. Because it is when we look at the past pain and also the future 10 years that we do not need, that we do not even know, maybe we'll be alive at that time, it really causes a lot of damage to the soul. And even the mind is always pressured, and we do not want that. We want to stay in the present, feel alive, feel happy, show kindness, show love, and be inspired by every single person we see around us. And no matter anything that comes the way, we are ready to conquer it when it gets to it. And so, from the bottom of my heart, Mrs. Sheila, I honestly thank you for the beautiful insights regarding that perspective, because a lot of people need to know, they need to understand that area in life. Also, I would like to drive to the point whereby the listener could take one step. I do know you've drive to a lot of discussions regarding the mind and the body and how we can also transform our life as a transformation coach. But from the experience you've had, if there is any other one step that you'd like to give to the listener, or one step today towards embodied spiritual growth, what would you invite them to practice or reflect, Mrs. Sheila?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. That's so important because we want to bring it into our everyday life.
Yeah.
I would say begin with listening deeply. And whatever is going on, if you can take a few times every day in your life to stop and listen deeply to your body. Where's my body right now? Be with your breath and be with the earth. Even if you're living in the city, can you look out the window? Can you open the window and feel the air come in? Can you somehow touch the earth if you have the ability to do that? Because when you take the time to have an honest moment of being present, that is so important because it takes you on your journey because you're here. And then a very simple spiritual practice I'd offer your listeners to really help them is as you're pausing and taking a moment to be present, gently ask yourself, what truth in me is asking to be lived more fully right now? What truth in me is asking to be lived more fully right now? Because transformation doesn't happen in big grand gestures, like da-da. It happens daily in those moment by moment presence. I'm here. I'm listening for deeper wisdom. I know I belong to life and the earth. What is my deepest truth, my greatest soul want me to do right now? you know, and that can become a beautiful apprenticeship. And you can just take a couple minutes a day. What truth wants to be lived in me right now? Right. So that's what I'd offer to you and your audience as a way to go forward.
Thank you so much for the beautiful insights. That shows that no matter the development, whether the mind or the body, it is gradual. It is a gradual process. It takes time. And we have to continue to stay in the present and continue to build on that. It is not going to be easy. We do know that it's something we have to be dedicated to. When we are dedicated and we are also motivated and also strong enough to conquer every single thing that comes by the way, we will be in a position whereby we can know how to recognize the mind, the body, and also stay in the present, which is really, really important. And we can get that gradually, daily, improve that daily and gradually. Then we get to a sense whereby we're strong enough to actually see everything that comes around us by at the actual time and see what we can work on when the time comes. Thank you so much. And also, Mrs. Sheila, there is also a question that I normally ask during the end of the show. From our forefathers, from our ancestors, there are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Sheila, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Sheila?
Mm. Oh my gosh, Tammy, there's so many things. What comes to me, Tammy, is I was born in Canada and I'm what's called Métis, which is a particular lineage of native and colonizer together.
Okay.
And in my spiritual journey with my ancestors, they remind me of a phrase that is often said in prayer work, which is, remember that all things come from woman and do nothing to harm the children. So I bring that from my ancestors
That
to
is true.
honor the earth and women overall, all beings, love all beings. But remember, we come from the earth, we come from the mother, and take care of the children.
It is a very, very powerful quote, to be honest with you, because that is why no matter how we are, we have to continue to respect mothers, women, because they are actually the pillar of the earth, to be honest with you, because they are actually the one who are bringing people to the earth, and we have to continue to honor them and continue to show them that respect and also embrace them with the kindness. And I really love it when, I do know women, a lot of women really have that kind of embracing, because they do have children, so they know how to really embrace people, show kindness to people and love, which I will be honest, men do not really have. There's only few of them that do have it, which is something that is very beautiful when it comes to women. That just shows that we have to continue to respect and continue to honor them. I also want to use the opportunity from the bottom of my heart, Mrs. Sheila, to thank you for the time, the opportunity on speaking on this beautiful area of transformation. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sheila.
And thank you, Tammy, for your wonderful work and your care in the world. Bless you.
All right, Mrs. Sheila. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Sheila. Bye bye.
Bye bye.